This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We are about to begin our meeting for today. Do we have any volunteers on the prayer?
Heavenly Father, we come this morning thanking you, Lord, for your goodness, thanking you for allowing us to come and be here, do the work of the county. We just ask that you be in our midst and that everything we do here today would be pleasing to you. Just remember those in our community, Lord, that are hurting, those who lost loved ones, those with sickness and affliction. We just ask that you be with them in a special way in those families. We just ask you go with us for the remainder of this day. Forgive us where we failed. Us in Christ's name we pray all things. Amen.
Amen. Let's all stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. You have before you a proposal agenda. What's the pledge of the board? Tim?
I don't have anything.
Eugene? You will do something? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
I second. It has been motion and second. All in favor by the show of hands. That motion carries. Okay, our old minutes were email or mail to all of us. What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that we accept all old minutes that we emailed to.
Second motion.
There has been motion and second. Do we have any discussion on it before we vote on or correction or anything? If not, all in favor by the show of hands, that motion carries. Steve, it's on you.
All right, sir. You should have a copy of the financial report for the month of July. Take that, look at it. Got any questions, we'll try to answer them. It is that time of year where cash is starting to get a little tight. We're still above water right now, so. Budget. We have gotten the preliminary digest figures from the tax commissioner. Let's see here, I got some handouts that we'll go over. We'll take one of those and pass it around. All right, as far as the budget, our general fund budget, we're proposing totals $15,736,000. We balanced it between revenues and expenditures. Our SPLOST fund budget is $2,733,251. And if you'll just flip over to page 2, then it just starts showing you the projected, the revenue accounts, showing you what the current budget amount is, what next year's proposal is, and the amount of increase or decrease. Just if you want to look at that. The revenues of page 2, 3, 4, and 5 are the general fund proposed revenues. Then page 6 gives you the SPLOST fund. Wait a minute, I'm sorry. I just told y'all wrong. Go back to page 1. I'm sorry. I thought something didn't look right. Instead of the general fund budget of $15,736,000, that is the current year. That's what we're in. The proposal for next year is $16,263,115. $16,263,115. That's an increase of the general fund budget of a little less than $500,000. And then the SPOS fund budget for next year is $2,780,000 even. $2,780,000. So that's a little less than a $60,000 increase. Sorry about that, I just realized that. But yeah, pages 2 through 5 shows you the breakdown of the revenues for the general fund. Page 6 shows you the breakdown of the SPOS fund revenues. And then we get into the expenditure side of things, just the department totals. Pages 7 and 8 is the department totals for the general fund. Page 9 is the department totals for the SPOS fund. And this is just showing you a brief summary of what we've been through the budget, several work sessions. So that's where we're at. And to fund the budget, we're able to keep the millage rate the same as last year. So if you turn over to page 10, somebody out there was. Page 10. All right, this is one of the reports that we have to advertise every year before we can set the millage rate. This shows you what the far right column numbers is the proposed tax digest figures for 2025. And then we're required to advertise the previous 5 years history of the tax digest. So if you'll, let me blow this up here a little bit. Ooh, I didn't mean to do that. And one thing that I always like to look at, history-wise, is what's the gross digest been for this period of time, and what has the net digest value been for each period of time. Let me blow this up so it's easier to see. So, like for last year, the gross tax digest, that's the value of all the taxable property in Dooley County. The gross value was $581 million. That's not what taxes are figured on, because there's all sorts types of exemptions, homestead exemption, exemption for the over 65, exemption for agriculture gets a special break. So for 2024, the net digest was $410 million. So, and that's what property taxes are levied against. 1 mil of property taxes, for a gross digest of $410 million, 1 mil of taxes will generate $410,000. So if we look at how does this year compare to that? The gross digest for 2025 increased from $581 million to $646 million. A pretty nice little increase. The net digest went from $410,000 to $419,000. Not near as big an increase, because the total exemptions went from $171 million to $227 million. So last year in 24, 1 mil of taxes would have generated $410,000. This year, 1 mil of taxes will generate $419,000. Leaving the millage rate at the same as last year, 17.45. We'll generate $159,000 more property tax for Dooley County. So we got the preliminary digest figures from the tax commissioner, so then we start figuring out, or do we have to have 3 public hearings or 1 public hearing? Let me pull it, let me go a different form here. And I know this is gonna be getting kind of deep, but I think this is stuff y'all need to sort of be aware of, so y'all can just. I truly believe the folks in Atlanta, when they get in the General Assembly up there, they try to say, how can we make property taxes more complicated this year so nobody understands? It is extremely complicated. But to decide whether we have to advertise a tax increase, even though we're leaving the millage rate the same, the state's got a form we have to use to calculate whether we have a tax increase or not. And this is the form that they make us fill out. And what we got to do, we got to take the digest values for 2024, what's considered last year now, and put in the digest values for 25. So this is showing the net digest for 24, 410 million. Net digest growth, net digest for 25 of 419 million. And there, what factors into whether you got the state considers a tax increase to mean, in our case, the county is going to receive more tax dollars this year than we did last year. Except that the state does realize, that you may have new houses built, new businesses built. So new construction, you don't get penalized if the digest increases because of new construction. They just don't, the state don't want you having your tax assessor go out there and reappraise everybody, bump everybody's values up, keep your millage rate the same, would result in you getting more tax dollars. And the state considers that a tax increase. So the way we have to do it for is real property. That's houses, buildings. Of the increase from the 488 million to the 562 million, how much of that was due to reassessment? Him coming out and saying, hey, your house value increased. You didn't do nothing, but your house value increased. That right there. So not only does Derek and Paula have to give us the digest figures, Derek has to go in there and fortunately his software does it. Of the increase in the real property digest, how much of it was for reassessment and how much of it was due to new stuff. And then you plug in what your millage rate was last year, what your millage rate is this year. Saying all this, this form said, for us to avoid having to advertise a tax increase, we would have to roll the millage rate back to 17.005. We're leaving it at last year's millage rate at 17.45. So they're saying we got to advertise a tax increase of 2.62%. That's
Which one going to pick it? That one or the other?
No, this is where we get the percentage that we put in the paper, which is going to be let's go back to so then if you go to the next page in your little handout, page 12 in your little handout, let's see here.
Well, Steve, let me ask you, all this been ongoing, or it hadn't been ongoing for the last 5 years?
There's been tweaks, but for the most part, we've been having to do this process for over the last probably 10 years now.
But we never did get behind. I mean, stuff wouldn't value that tax as it should have.
Okay, well, now that's a different. We'll come back around to that in just a minute. So hold that thought. This is the actual notice that we've got to run in the paper since we, in the state's opinion, we have a tax increase. And we have to say the Dooly County Board of Commissioners has tentatively adopted the 20, that needs to be changed to 25. Well, I saw that. Ain't no telling how many times I done looked at this thing. 2025. a 2025 millage rate, which will require an increase in property tax by 2.62%. So that means we got to have 3 public hearings, and we have to advertise this notice 7 days in advance of each public hearing. One of the public hearings must be held in the evenings between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. The other 2 public hearings must be held during convenient hours, which they allow between 8 and 5. So I've tentatively set our public hearing, our first public hearing number 1 to coincide with our first meeting in September at 10 o'clock. And then historically, we just go ahead and you can have 2 public hearings on the same day, but the second one has to be between 6 and 7. So public hearing number 2 would be that evening at 6 p.m. And then we always have to wait to hold our last public hearing till after the Board of Education has held their. If they have a tax increase, they have to have 3 public hearings too. They don't have the authority to levy taxes. They request that the Board of Commissioners levy their millage for them. So that's why we have to wait till after they hold, and they're going to have to advertise a tax increase. So they got to have 3 public hearings. I've already talked to them. They're having their 3rd public hearing on Thursday, September the 18th, which would be our second meeting date normally, but they're going to meet in the evening, so we can't do anything till after that. So I'm going to see if it's all right with y'all. Ordinarily, our second meeting in September would be Thursday, September the 18th. To avoid having to have our regular meeting on the 18th and then turn around and have to just have a special meeting on Friday the 19th to get the 3rd public hearing so we can adopt the millage rate, so we can get on with get the tax bills printed. I assumed y'all would rather just have just move our regular meeting from the September 18th to the 19th. Okay, to try to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak. Okay. That's what we've always done in the past. Y'all have always been real flexible to try to work with this situation. And then this notice also has to say, the state dictates the wordage of this notice. We can't change it. The tentative, and it's confused, in my opinion, it's confusing the way they make us read it, but that's the way they make us do it. The tentative increase will result in a millage rate of 17.45 mils, an increase of 0.445 mils. Without this tentative increase, the millage rate would be no more than 17.005 mils. And then they make you give an example. The proposed tax increase for a home with a fair market value of $150,000 is approximately $25.81.
That was the question I was going to ask. Let's give an example.
Yeah. Well, state makes you do this.
Yeah.
And then now, what it don't tell you there, that's a home where you qualify for homestead exemption. But then in the next part of that, the proposed tax increase for a non-homestead property with a fair market value of $150,000 is approximately $26.71. So which, without saying it, filing homestead saves you less than $1. Now, and folks may say, well, where are you getting that? In that example, the home with a fair market value of $150,000 and a non-homestead value of $150,000. Where'd you grab that from? The state dictates that too. The state says that the average home value. So for this first $150,000, which they say is a home with a fair market value of, the state says you got to get your tax assessor to tell you what the average home value from the previous year's tax digest was, rounded to the nearest $25,000. Unfortunately, their software can generate a report, and in this case, the average home value for the 24 Digest, homestead home was $150,000. And then so to calculate that, you take the market value, you deduct, if you qualify for homestead exemption, you knock $5,000 off the market value. So that gives you $145,000 value. Well, but you don't figure taxes on that. You figure taxes at 40% of that to get an assessed value of $58,000. Then that's what you multiply the millage rate increase of 0.45 mils. That's how you get to $25.81. And then on the next example, the non-homestead, it's kind of ironic that both of these values turn out to be $150,000, but that's the way their software calculated. So for the non-homestead property, you take the $150,000 and just multiply it times 40% because you don't reduce it because they're not eligible for homestead exemption. That gives you a $60,000 assessed value. Then multiply that times the millage increase. That's how you get $26.70. And I know that's way more information y'all asked for, but I feel like y'all just need to be aware.
But that was good. And I'm just sitting here thinking, if you go to the bank, it's basically what they're going to be. They how to calculate the amount of money they're loaning you on. So they tear you up. Now you say you're getting it away, but on the other hand, you're getting a tax credit, on it, and it's like a double-edged sword there. You sort of, ooh. And the only thing you sort of answered my question about we have to be in that 40%. Don't the state require?
Okay, well, since you keep bringing that up, let's go to that right quick.
Before we leave that, let me give you two numbers that kind of clear all this up for me, where we sit and what we have to do, and then the public, I think, can decipher this too. We just went through and we said to balance the budget, we have an increase of $527,115. Flip over here to our property taxes. It's going to generate $159,005. Only 30% of what we need. So what does that mean, people? That means we're dependent upon this money to come from all these other sources: sales tax, insurance premium tax, just wherever it can come from. We're dependent upon that money. But most people think, well, you got all your property taxes to run the county. Well, it won't run the county. I'm sorry. I wish it would. It does in a lot of counties because they have a heap more growth than we have. But it will not in Dooley County, and that is proof in the pudding.
And that's why I be hollering all the time about people leaving. I mean, that's one of the.
Well, you got to have more houses. You got to have more industry. Commercial. I mean, you don't have to drive far. Look at the difference in Dooley and Houston.
Okay, Mr. David, what you referred to, the 40% you're referring to is the sales rate. The state comes down and does an audit every year of the tax assessor's office. The tax assessor's office is responsible for every piece of property in Dooley County that is subject to property taxes. They're supposed to maintain a market value, a fair market value for each property. And that's not an exact science, but they do the best they can. So the state comes down and audits their records. And here again, they make that more complicated than in my opinion, what they feel like. The audit report that the state gives every year doesn't say, all right, how's you're supposed to be at 100% market value. What we go in? They go in and check several sales in the previous year and compare to what they had it appraised at. And then in our case, we don't generate enough sales So they have to supplement their audit. They go out and just randomly pick some parcels, and the state goes out and appraises the property and compares it to what Derek has it appraised at. They don't come back and say, all right, we find we see you roughly, you should be at 100%, you at 96% on it. They don't do that. They take the market value and multiply it times that 40%, because that's what you're paying property tax on, or your assessed value is 40% of your market value. So we should be at, our sales ratio study, if we were perfect, would be 40%. Very few counties are ever at 40%. And nobody really wants to be above 40, because if you are, that really means you're taxing your folks. You're overtaxing folks. And on the state side, in the counties, you'll get penalized if you're less than 36%. And the penalty is, it's difficult to say, explain this part of it, imagine that. Public utilities like railroads, they have to pay property taxes as well. But the state doesn't let each county go out and appraise, put a value on the railroad property in Dooley County. We ain't got a clue. The state assigns a value to that. So the state sends that value down for public utilities. And as long as our sales ratio study is between 40 and 36%, the public utilities pay based on 40% of what their market value is. It's complicated.
I'm just curious, since you said that, how much do the railroad pay?
Well, see,
I mean,
all right, the local tax commissioners don't send a bill to the railroad company. Somehow or another, the state collects that and then sends Dooley County our portion of the public utilities tax for Dooley County. They don't tell us how much of that came from Norfolk Southern, how much of that came from CSX, Georgia Power, or any of that stuff. They just send us money. So I can't answer that question. But back to, so the state item number, number 11 on the agenda is that the state has just sent us the latest sales ratio study for Dooley County. And I believe I emailed all this out to y'all last week when I got it, but Dooley County, the results of our, like I said, 40% is perfect. We came in at 38.03, which I talked to Derek, and Derek wants to stay around 38% for the sweet spot. Don't want to go over 40, don't want to go less than 36. So 38 is his target for that. So to me, that just backs up that evidently Derek is doing something right to stick around that 38. And here again, it don't matter what other counties are doing, but in this report, they also show you the results of every other county right in the state. One at 33%. 33%. Now, there's some folks out there at 32%.
What about
That's
the
a
round?
29.
That's a
They've been
29%.
telling us, they losing money.
Yeah. What about Macon County, Wilcox? I wouldn't look at it.
Well, Crisp is at 38.5. That's pretty good.
They just did a big review. Hancock County 26.
Macon County 39.46.
Look at Montgomery County, that's the fourth county in the state, 20.5.
Ooh,
Montgomery County?
Mhm.
I wouldn't think that. Yeah, they got, yeah.
Pulaski. 40%.
I just did a relax. You did on it.
And
26.
Wilcox, 29.93.
Will County, 45.
Boys over there, hey.
Look at Worth, as big as that. 26.42.
So, anyway, all right. So, but back, my main point. So, y'all are okay with this? Put the tentative schedule for our public hearing, because we'll have to start advertising. Like I said, we got to advertise this. We got to publish this notice 7 days ahead of each public hearing, and we have to advertise this 5-year history 7 days before the meeting where we're going on that. The state allows us to have that third public hearing for the tax increase and this notice of where we're going to set the millage rate. We can do all that at one meeting. We just have to put the notice in the paper 7 days ahead of time. And like we learned last year, this notice here has to be at least 30 square inches in size in the newspaper. And myself and the guy with the school board, we've done discussed this, and we're going to make sure that the paper knows that it's got to be 30 square inches. So, all right, so that takes care of. No, get left behind is what these do. All right, so we got that.
So Steve, going back to that thing, that where, on that heavy duty equipment, I was looking at that when we were going through it. Okay, and we got nothing over in the 2025 section of that zero. I mean, what sort of happened?
You'll have to, the tax commissioner have to explain that to you. I don't understand that.
450.
I can't answer that question, Mr. Chairman. All right, so let's move on. All right, next item on the agenda, the bridge on Bowen Road at Sandy Mount Creek. It's been on the agenda for several times, and the DOT's wanting a letter from the county supporting the project and also agreeing to contribute $50,000 toward the project. I believe Commissioner
I
Casey.
spoke with Miss Naomi Walker. She's the bridge program manager, and she's going to take a request to waive that amount of money. She's going to go to her higher ups and request that Dilley County be credited due to some prior bridge replacement over the interstate where we closed the county road and saved DOT a lot of money. By the fact that they did not have to build the bridge beside the existing bridge and then tear it down. They were able to do it in one shot. And so they saved a lot of money, no additional right of ways or anything like that. So she sees where we're coming from and sounded very positive. So hopefully that will take place.
And I forgot. They are those guys that out there by on West Road, and they did a fantastic job on replacing, the pipes. Now, I'm just curious because they came up one more time about the amount of money that was the initial bid and how much we actually saved by them.
We ain't got to, once we've paid all the bills, I'll come back and give y'all a report of that.
Because they did that. Now they did way more than I thought they were going to do.
I was shocked when I went out there and
Yeah.
saw it, Mr. David.
Yeah, they did. Good job on that.
They want to do some work in the future.
You're right, but they did it.
And they need to.
Yeah, they did a good job on that.
Well, honey, since we got just a minute. They weren't quite through with it when I went out there and took this video of it, but this is where they extended, the pipe under the road was in good shape, but on the ends, on both ends was slap rotten and all the shoulder had basically washed away. But, and they have got, they put new pipe on each end and really built the shoulders up where it's not a traffic hazard.
Right.
You got room to pull over. If you need to pull over top of the pipe, you got room to pull over on top of the pipe now. Whereas you didn't used to have that. And that's all downstream. That's where the water's going, that direction.
With the kind
But they,
Try to start some mess over here.
so they literally didn't even have to get into the road. When we decided it.
Well, the property owner, Wayne West, was considered on the upstream side. He did relocate his fence and let them do a little work.
Yeah, but they didn't have to disturb the road bed.
No, the road bed, yeah, they never had to cut the pavement, which was a good thing.
Oh, no, they didn't cut none of that.
But that shows you that's the outlet side of things. And since they dressed it up more and I think have seeded it, should have good grass growing hopefully before winter gets there.
Let me ask you this now, because I didn't go down there, and I did go out there, but that pipe is it down below that existing stream of water there that they put in, the new pipe that they put in, so that it wouldn't be above.
Well, see, the pipe under the road didn't change, so the pipe they put on was at the same depth as whatever the pipe under the road was. You can see water running into the.
So they got tested real good with all that rain back then. Yeah, it got tested real.
Anyway, I just thought I'd share that with y'all since you brought it up, Mr. Chairman. I was going to do it. I meant to do it anyway. So, okay, so let's get back to the agenda here. All right, so we'll wait and we're waiting right now on DOT. Hopefully they'll waive that $50,000 local match and then just want a letter of support from the county on that Bowen Road Bridge replacement project. We'll keep y'all informed of that. Okay, item number 5. Glenn, if you would come up. The Planning Commission met Monday was a week ago, I reckon now, August the 11th. They had three requests in front of them. Request number 1 was a variance requesting the road frontage requirement for a parcel that's in an R2 district, which our zoning ordinance requires the lot to have 150 foot of road frontage. The owner requested the road frontage requirement be reduced, to 50 feet. And the Planning Commission met. Let me show you a map of the project. Let's go somewhere else first. That ain't it. That ain't it. Oh, I had Q Public open. I do. This parcel, request number 1, is located out between Vine and Hawkinsville, just north of Hawkinsville Highway, in the Meadow Ridge subdivision area. This is the existing parcel, and they're subdividing that parcel into 2 parcels.
That's accurate.
So that's where we're talking about. The red line is the 1 parcel. The little shaded yellow is the new parcel they're creating.
Yes.
And that's the one that they're requesting a variance from the 150 foot of road frontage. And variances, the county commissioners have given the planning commission the authority to approve variances. So that means they don't have to come for the board of commissioners. Y'all always like to be notified of it and notified of the results of them. So this is what we're doing in this case. We're just letting y'all know the planning commission voted unanimously to approve that variance.
Yes, and the purpose of the property is his son's gonna put a home on there.
Well, you know, that's.
That was request number one that the planning commission did. Get back to our agenda. Request number two was they submitted a request to rezone a parcel, but in the process of advertising and discovered something in the ownership caused they had to withdraw that request to get the ownership straightened out. It's going to be coming back. This is going to be a rezoning request if it comes back. The planning commission initially holds a public hearing on rezoning request, but they don't have the authority to approve rezoning. They'll hold a public hearing on it and then make a recommendation to the board of commissioners. But while we're discussing, just that you be aware of what it is let's go. Up on Slosh Eye Trail, let me see what parcel number. Let me go back to my Q Public and pull this map up. It's parcel 516J. This is a parcel. Zoom out and sort of show you where it's at. All right, this is Highway 41 going up to Pinehurst, and you turn on Slosh Eye Trail, heading back this way. That's where the parcel's at. This is actually the lake out there with the subdivision. But that's the parcel that they're wanting to. It is currently zoned R1, which is single family. They're requesting it be, they initially requested, like I said, they've withdrawn the request, but we expect the request to come back.
Yes.
The initial request for it to be rezoned from single family R1 to multifamily R2 to allow mobile home on the property. But that's just going to be coming.
Can I share what I discovered about the properties? In research for the lady on the property, and I wanted to understand, how did so many mobile homes get in that area? There, when I pulled up the deed, it came with a restrictive covenant, and I think this is why mobile homes got put there. Number one says mobile homes shall be allowed. And what happened was, I think the person that issued permits for mobile homes took the covenant as what's to be followed rather than following the ordinance, not understanding the difference. And that makes sense. So all that property is under a restrictive covenant that allows mobile homes, but the covenant does not override the ordinance. So there was a mistake made when the issuance of all the mobile homes to go there.
So that is correct, that a restricted covenant on a deed does not override any county ordinance.
Correct. The term restrictive covenant means it can restrict beyond what the law is. It can't override what the overarching law is.
Okay, that's what. Okay, so like I said, this matter isn't before us today, but it is expected to come back at a later date. So.
Say that one more again now. The shadow look, that's all of that confusing talk.
Okay, for example, in an ag zone right now, in an ag zone, you can have a stick-built house or a mobile home.
Yes, that's accurate.
Because that's the zoning.
That's a zoning.
Right.
But then if I sell my ag zone property to you, and in the deed I say you can only have a stick-built home.
Okay.
Are you, as the new buyer, are you bound by that restrictive covenant, even though the county ordinance would allow you to put a mobile home in that
You're
case?
bound by it if you accept it in the deed, but for the term of how long the restrictive covenant can run under the separate set of statutes. And that's a whole other issue than what he's asking. What he's asked, what you have is you have a subdivision with restrictive covenants, not a particular owner. That's the difference.
Okay.
But what, if, it's like this. The state of Georgia says, children have to go to school, pass a law. Some guy has his own little family over here and says, my law in my family is none of my people have to go to school. Well, who's gonna win? Okay, y'all's law, your rule is gonna trump that's below you. Okay, now they can restrict beyond what you do and restrict, but they can't expand. They can't overrule you. They can narrow it down. Because it can say there you can have this or whatever, but you can't. They've got it backwards what they're trying to do here. The best way I can put it. You can't why would you need zoning then? You just have every subdivision come in as, in order to get in as a subdivision, you have to follow the zoning. And then when they get in, they pass restrictive covenants that overrode the zoning. That don't make any sense. You can't.
Well, there was no thought given to zoning when it was done.
Correct. Yeah, when the restrictive covenant could have been before the zoning. So then which one well, that was a discussion to be had in a public hearing during the zoning.
That's why I was asking. I was just trying to get
And we just approved last year.
a clarity on this.
Okay, and then the third request that went before the planning commission was just another variance request, which the Board of Commissioners had given the planning commission the authority to issue variances. In this case, this was a request for a parcel in an ag zone, 3626B. Go back to find my Q public. Search. Parcel 3626B, wasn't it? 26B. This is a 74.5 acre piece of property off of State Route 230. Where are we at in the world?
You're close to Jalapa, just above it.
Okay, this is where Jalapa Road comes into 230. That's going to be up in your neck of the woods, Mr. Dave. You know where we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. That's a 74.5 acre parcel that the owners are wanting to put a chicken house on. The current ordinance says setbacks for chicken houses 1,500 feet,
1,500 foot around.
all the way, all sides. The owner requesting a reduction in the setback requirement from, want it to be 300 feet on the front, 279 feet on the left side, 500 feet on the right side, and 600 feet on the rear. And the planning commission, they held a public hearing. They received 9 public responses. 2 were not in favor of the approval. There were 7 in favor of the approval. And upon motion by Vice Chairman Mac Jordan and second by Henry Blue, they voted to approve the variance request. And that's how the members of the planning commission voted on the, I think it was, voted yes,
2 voted against, 5 voted for.
and
Two-
one was,
2 absent.
They said the ones that were there, they 2 or 3 miles away.
And see, that's why I was, now I did, so I asked my question.
Yeah.
You said it was off Jalapa Road.
it's off of Highway 230. Let's go back to the map.
Trying to see what we.
This is where Jalapa Road comes into 230.
Yeah.
But this is where the site's actually at.
You have Miss Bloodworth, which is near, Mr. Lambert was part of the meeting, Randy Lambert, which is homes over by the lake. He came to the meeting, Mrs. Bloodworth. She
Young blood. This is,
Oh, I got it.
young bloods live right
It's
there.
on right now. I'm thinking about it on this side of 230, but it's on this side of 230. Okay, what triggered when we ran in Lambert though,
He just be at the high.
and on the other, that great big old house on the other side of the road.
2 or 3.
How many they trying to put? How many chicken houses?
No, I had
How many is they trying to put there? Chicken house? 1, 5,
They're
2,
putting 6 in.
6. These already done approved.
Yeah, this is just letting y'all know how to remember, because y'all had given the planning commission the authority to approve variances, so.
And my thing about that is, like Tim was saying, about for the people that live out there that's on the board.
Well, all right, and the way I look at the comment was somebody, I've heard a comment saying that was somebody that don't live next to it ought not have no say in it. I disagree with that. Because in essence, you're sort of setting a precedent of what kind of setback you can get for a chicken house. Which means somebody next to you could put a chicken house that close to your house. Is the way I choose to look at it. I wouldn't want no chicken house 300 foot from my house. I'm just gonna be honest about it. I love fried chicken, but I don't want no chicken house right next to me.
Well, the argument that whether you're on, I guess it's if you're on this board, on those right next to it, you decide that's not the way that works. I mean, it's a board for the whole county to get all the perspectives.
Right.
Because it may be this way this time, it may be the other way the next time. It's supposed to be about everybody looking at everything. But y'all make the
Eugene, what you think about that?
The attorney, she's not the attorney, but
don't put me in it. Don't put me in this chicken.
They're not setting a precedent, it's been done.
the House of Rayford did present a plan showing the houses, the closest house is 1,700 foot. So it exceeded, that's what the planning commission took into mind. The actual houses that are in there, the closest one's 1,700 foot from the chicken houses,
Talking about the
Existing houses,
the existing homes.
existing residential human houses.
They didn't show up at.
so that less than a fourth of a mile. Yeah. So I don't know. I just, yeah, and that guy across the road built that probably $1 million home.
Mr. Lambert, Randy,
Yeah, whatever. I don't know who owned the house up there.
Randy, and he came to the meeting and we actually measured his home from it, and he's 2,500 foot from it. And we had a lady that came to the meeting that was against it. She lives on the opposing end of the county. And the reason she came is she wanted to make sure she had her voice heard. She doesn't like the appearance of chicken houses. And they volunteered to include cypresses across the entire front of the property to give a visual block.
Well, let me, I know we've just been talking about property tax. Now, but what about the smell? That gonna come from, from it and stuff. 'Cause I know it's, the neighbor kind of had that, they had a real bad problem back in a few years ago, and boy, I don't know. I can see that, what they said in the very beginning when we went to the meeting, way down in the woods somewhere. You got a chicken house, so it won't be interfering with it. And that thing, them numbers, that so we got chopped out the door.
All right, moving on. Let's skip over.
So before we move on, so now they said they already done approved it, right?
Yes, sir. Like I said, the Board of Commissioners have given the Planning Commission the authority to issue variances, and the Planning Commission held a public hearing, and they voted to approve the variance. So
You delegated the authority,
You
they acted
delegated
upon it. He's
Yeah,
giving you the information.
I ain't trying to.
I mean, we don't like it
I'm just trying to
necessarily,
bring up something.
or do like it, but it's,
But Tim, what you have on by your house, that close? What you want on by
So
your
if
house?
I was that close, I will come to the meeting and complain, but the ones that out there, they can come. Somebody else coming, staying 2 or 3 miles away or on the other side.
Mr. Barron,
So,
if I may suggest, just because it's zoned and it goes through the process and then they build it, if it produces a nuisance that didn't exist, then that is an issue between the landowners and the new this person, and that's a total separate civil matter for which they can address it in another forum if they can demonstrate that there is that. But that's a whole thing that doesn't involve us.
I know. But that's like them spending their money and then saying, now we can't open it. That's,
They're not naive.
yeah,
The
yeah.
ones that are doing
I
this,
know.
they are very
Yeah.
skilled and they have a very good team of people that know
Exactly.
what to do. So they have taken that into consideration in the calculus. I would assure you. I don't have any information on that, but I would assure you they didn't do this blindly.
I'm just curious. I didn't want to know the feeling that Tony, somebody built one right across the road from you. How would you feel?
I would approve this,
Yeah.
but, I mean,
Yeah, but I'm just
got it
saying.
voted, I guess.
Yeah, but because we gave them the authority. And Eugene, what about?
Well, what you got boards for? I mean, we can't oversee every board.
No. Definitely, I would just.
We have got to have some somewhere, they always something kind of waiting on. Don't tell them what we don't get, they want.
Yeah, I got some friends that own
But didn't need to talk.
move on now.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, we'll skip 6. We'll come back to 6 in just a minute while Glenn's still here. All right, we drafted an ordinance regulating cryptocurrency mining facilities. We got a draft order. I've sent y'all a copy of the draft order. Basically, we did change the sound threshold to 65 decibels. It can't exceed 65 decibels during any 15-minute interval during daytime or 60 decibels during a 15-minute interval during nighttime. That's exactly what Monroe County did. We got that exactly out of Monroe County's ordinance for data centers. And then we're getting into the details of in here. Where was it again? Where we say what section was it about the storage units?
Down further, I think it's number 13, maybe 14. It's 13.
13. Any use of cargo containers or ISO shipping containers or similar as housing, whether horizontally combined or independent of other structures or commercial cryptocurrency mining operation, shall not be vertically combined to exceed a height greater than 9 feet.
So using shipping containers, you can't, that could be otherwise stacked, you're not allowing them to stack them because they're 9 feet tall.
Well, and then actually, Glenn, somewhere that I think the Department of Community Affairs.
Yeah, in the state department, the Georgia state regulations actually say 9.5 foot.
A shipping container can be up to 9.5 feet, according to the state. So we probably need to increase that. But the deal is, since we went and visited one of these sites, the at least the ones at this site, and we think what is common practice when they use a shipping container to house the computers, there's fans located on top of the shipping container, which could be another 8 feet above the actual shipping container. We want to get all into that, or how do we address that?
I think that what they're trying to address is the old image of the circus tent, and the camel gets his nose under the tent and gets in there, and that's what they're concerned is these people are coming in, and then they've got a building they're going to go into, and then it sounds like what they're doing is they're putting shipping containers out there and then stacking them, and they're addressing it, and then when they address it one way, then they say, well, we'll go put the fans on there. So that's what that right there is a reaction to something that was not expected to begin with somewhere. I don't know what, I mean, I don't know
Well,
what
the
it is.
shipping containers allow them to go and start the process immediately.
Very quickly.
And normally they're phased out when they get the buildings up. But who knows what will happen, like you say. But
Well, you could put
a couple that I've watched, the shipping containers went in there, but then when they got up and running, that company sold to larger companies. I think there's more money in selling these things once you get them located. For some people, they like that money instead of running.
right.
This is the actual unit that we went and looked at and went inside.
And so he said, what difference it make? Well, as a potential resident next to one of these, elevating those fans up higher, in my mind, makes the noise be able to go further because there's less obstructions.
Well, look at it. Look in that picture right there. The buffer y'all talked about is there, those trees. And maybe just the vantage point of that picture, but I don't think, look at it. It now is higher than it's 18 feet. If it's 9 feet and 9 feet, it's about 20 feet. So I don't know how tall those trees are and how far they are apart, but it looks from that angle as if you're right on that. Absolutely, that the noise has now been elevated above the buffer.
So back to my question is, do we want to try to address that in what wording do we need to put in there? How do we need to word that?
Well, do you want to prevent inclusive of fans not to exceed X feet?
So what about the sound, the decimal sound?
That is,
Knowing they're gonna come from it. To see.
See, that stays, I think
That's covered above.
that's covered above, because we're saying above. All right, the operators of the facility shall not allow or permit the operation of any source of sound at the nearest residential building to exceed a daytime continuous sound level of 65 decibels or a nighttime continuous sound level of 60 decibels for any 15-minute
Okay.
period.
But now you just say that it will, the higher it goes up, the less buffer.
That's just Steve's opinion now.
Yeah, but okay, but still and I know that's true. You know, now the fans are getting up above that, so the decimal level gonna go up higher. up there than it would be if it was down low. So I'm just going back to the wording, trying to get the wording right on it. And ain't no make sense.
So we just want to, we're currently in our 90-day moratorium, but our moratorium is slowly expiring. And as far as I know, the city of Vienna still has not, and the county has not had any contact from the folks that bought this property.
Why don't you and I look at that language and see what we can come up with?
Okay. Then once we get an ordinance we're comfortable with, what's the process for adoption? Do we need to, I know we need to have at least 1 or 2 public hearings. Does the planning commission need to have a public hearing and then make a recommendation to county commissioners, or could the planning commission and county commissioners hold joint public hearings?
I think you possibly could hold joint public hearings, but I think on a subject that's this sensitive, that I wouldn't short circuit the public's process to have as much opportunity to be heard as possible.
Okay.
Because it's no pun intended, it's a noise issue, and people can be very sensitive about that. And so I would let the planning commission come through it, because if the planning commission decides to
Tweak it
then that.
or make a recommendation.
Right, and then it comes to us tweaked, then they have a right to comment again, was it tweaked enough or tweaked too much?
Okay.
Or not tweaked at all. So I would hold separate public hearings.
Okay.
As much as that's not only pleasant, that's what you should do.
Okay. Is the board okay with that? I see the logic in that, and I think,
The most opportunity, due process is the opportunity to be heard with most notice.
I agree. Okay. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. You have a good day.
All right, so let's go back. We skipped over an item. Item number 6, just a reminder, the DOT is accepting applications for the FY 2026 LMIG program. Dewey County is eligible for $832,000. It requires a 10% match. Applications must be received by February, but I told Rodney and our engineer Lance to go ahead and start working on a priority list. So I would rather not wait till February to submit this. So that's in the works. Next item, number 8, surplus vehicles. Yes, we have 2 vehicles currently on sale, listed for sale on the GovDeals website, which the GovDeals website is an online auction that only cities and counties can post for sale. Anybody can bid on it, but just cities and counties can post items for sale. And anybody interested in looking at what we got for sale, all you gotta do is Google GovDeals, get the GovDeals website. This is just the GovDeals website. It's easy to get to. You Google GovDeals and it'll take you right there to see just you just type in the numbers 1371 in that search box and hit that magnifying glass. And here's the 2 vehicles Dewey County has listed for sale. You can click on this ambulance right here. It gives you more information. Right now it's a 2018 Ford Transit ambulance. Currently the bid is $25,000 and the bids close tomorrow at 2 p.m. So if you go online between now and then, you can bid and you can be the proud owner of this vehicle.
What was it, 1371?
1371.
They're gonna be coming. They're just showing you that now.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the
Go
one
to
we
the
got?
deadline, they be
25,000, that's what been bid.
That's been bid on right now. So, and then we go back and look at the other one, which is it's the former coroner van. It's a 2007 Ford Econoline, and right now the highest bid is $1,425. And this also ends tomorrow at 2 o'clock. However, if you wait right till 2 seconds before 2 o'clock in bid,
Mhm.
then they're automatically gonna extend the bid that like 5 minutes to give the next person, whoever else is in it, a chance to also bid. And sometimes I've seen it go 30 minutes. A lot of folks, naturally, you don't wanna pay no more than what you want,
Mhm.
so you wait till the last minute to sit that high bid in. So, anyway,
What you say that you stand for? I forgot, I asked y'all a question once before.
US dollars.
US dollar.
So this, now you could be anywhere in the world and see this, and this is letting you know, hey, this is US dollars. It ain't some other
Canadian.
foreign country
So,
Canadian dollars.
so,
or whatever.
so that 1425 right now, that's the highest.
That's the high bid right now. There's been 9 bids submitted for this so far. Oh, it's gonna pick up.
I've been on it.
You have? Have you ever bought anything?
I could bid with
You
it.
been on the corner van?
No,
And you lived in town?
No, I ain't got no been to bid.
Yeah.
on that.
Is that paint? Is that painted on there?
Okay.
What?
Corner beside it.
It can come off.
No, it's stickers.
Oh, it is
It's
stickers.
stickers, it'll come off.
Mr. Lester,
I
Those
think,
those
I don't know
ladies-
about that. I don't know.
those
Yeah,
ladies,
it's a decal.
those ladies at church are not gonna ride in the
It's a
quarter
decal.
van. Those ladies at church are not gonna ride in the quarter van. They're all.
Quiet. You be quiet. Now.
Yeah.
I don't want to take this
You gonna
thing.
tell them what
Yeah.
it is?
Oh, where it came from.
Now, like I said, anybody can bid, but you have to go register online ahead of time, set your account up. But that, folks tell me that's a simple process. I've never done it. It's just a simple process. All right, that takes care of item number 8 on the agenda. Yeah, 1371 to get you to narrow it down.
I wanna see if you cut ahead next time commission meeting. I wanna see you drive a minute.
Which one, the ambulance or the?
I hope you don't drive it.
You're gonna have it detailed
Y'all
by
right.
No, yeah, I don't think all right.
then. No, you're gonna have it detailed by then. You're gonna have it redesigned by then.
You gonna park it over there like we did the fire truck? So we can go look at it?
You can get mad, man, I might get too stiff.
Yeah, right.
Okay, item number 9 on the agenda. We still got some job vacancies. Are we still accepting applications or is the deadline passed?
I am, yes, we're still accepting applications. Yeah, we're still accepting applications. And they're coming in real good through that Indeed and running over.
Okay. All right. Item number 10, just for information, Monday, September 1st is a holiday for county employees for Labor Day. So don't call us that day, we ain't gonna be here. Number 11, we already talked about the sales ratio study. We came in at 38.03, which is good. Item number 12, ACCG Retirement Services are now offering employees an option to have a Roth Riley, have money deducted out of their payroll paycheck and invested in a Roth Riley. Our Roth IRA, I'm in the process of trying to get our ACCG Retirement Services representative to come meet with y'all and explain what that is. It costs the county nothing, and we have had some employees expressed an interest in having that option, but I'd rather him come explain and answer y'all's questions for y'all. Item number 13, the search for the next county administrator. All right, Linda has prepared the job opening notice to be put in the paper. And do y'all have any? I think I got y'all a copy of that. I think. Hold on. What item is that? 13. Yes. Yes. You take one and pass that around.
This one here going up.
When is it going up? Whenever you all.
Well, that's,
if y'all are-
well, hopefully what y'all are gonna decide today. She's wanting, I think, to get approval of the note. The first page is, the handout is just the notice that we put in, that would be published everywhere. Then the remainder of that is the actual job description that once folks see the notice and they most folks are probably gonna wanna see a copy of the job description, and she'll send them a copy of the job description. And then they'll submit a resume. To me, the job notice is just pretty generic. I don't see any issues with the job notice.
And we did take off the application process, no application, just, we were requesting just a resume.
We're not required. Because I looked at it like if I was interested in this job, and to me, this is one of the higher level jobs in the county. Yeah. By making them fill out an application, that means they got to contact us. We got to send them our paper application. They got to hand fill out that paper and submit a resume. To me, I'm telling them, if somebody applies for this job, sends a resume in, and that resume doesn't have all the information we need, that'll be a red flag right there. If they can't fill out a resume, a proper resume, yeah. To me, that's just my opinion. And then a question I want Bert to chime in on the job description. Where was it at? Oh, over several pages over, we get to the education and experience section. It's toward the back. The pages aren't numbered. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Let me get to it on the screen too. Yeah. Education and experience. It says bachelor's degree in public administration, business administration, political science, or related field. We scratched out in an earlier version. We had master's degree preferred. We've eliminated that. My question is, say John Doe submits a resume, but he doesn't have a bachelor's degree, but otherwise is everybody in the agreement, he is definitely qualified for the job. Is that an issue?
If you advertise that that's required and then you make an exception, then you've now discriminated against those who do have it. So you need to say bachelor's preferred if that's going to be the way you're going to do it.
Okay. And this is for y'all, and then I'm just going to, by that you're handcuffing yourself, or you're going to expose yourself to some liability otherwise.
This is not to be elitist by any means, but a bachelor's degree is like a high school diploma used to be. It's sort of a basic thing for where you're asking to be at this level. I think it's, there are counties where that does not occur, and there are smaller counties, and, we're right there in the middle of whether or not that's needed.
Well, you have county administrators already serving counties that don't have that degree,
Correct.
but have all the experience in the world,
Right. Like,
10 or 15 years experience.
right. Perfect candidate for you. So, why would you discriminate against that person? I get it. And also, I'll make this note, when you look at bachelor's degrees, a political science degree, I had this argument with the dean at Mercer one time when we were trying to get a student from Dooley County in, and, and I had Hardy's backing behind me, and we were doing all we could to pull them in, and the dean just said no, because he looked at where they had done their work, and they had gone from like a technical school for their basic English classes to this, to get a 2-year degree, and then somewhere else. And they had a higher GPA, and we were basing it on the higher GPA, but they said, no, we're looking at what those really mean. Can they cut the work? And that was for law school. And I don't necessarily agree with all that, but I'm just saying that was how they looked at it from an academic standpoint. And I think that, a bachelor's degree, that doesn't mean anybody knows anything. I see that aspect too, but it does show a level of commitment to follow through a process. And you're talking about an administration process. Yeah.
All right.
And I think getting rid of the masters is a no-brainer. I would do that. The question of the bachelors, you know, you might want to say, if you say in lieu of bachelors, you want more than 5 years, you know, experience. I don't know.
This is where y'all need to have input, because this is what y'all are saying are the requirements.
And I'll give you an example of somebody. We hired a young lady to be the city clerk in Leesburg who had a bachelor's degree, but did not have a master's degree. And she had never worked in local government. And she picked it up pretty quickly. But she went on to work for the state, you know, later. But she was not considered at the next level because we had a master's requirement for the city manager. And now we're 10 years into that, and that person's getting ready to kind of retire in a few years. And so we're having the question, do we really need a master's or not? That person actually has a doctorate in it as well, which we didn't know when we hired them. We just found out they were finishing it. But education doesn't necessarily equate to experience.
I said it all the time.
So
Linda needs some help in how y'all,
I think
I
you should put preferred.
bachelor's preferred.
Yeah,
Mhm.
preferred, get you off the hook.
so just say bachelor's degree preferred in public administration, blah, 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 or related field. I think that or related field, because otherwise you've really limited it.
Well, for instance, if I were to apply for this under that description, I wouldn't be considered because my bachelor's is in English.
And without the related field, I wouldn't qualify
Right.
for due to education. I got a bachelor's degree, but it's in agricultural economics.
And I would argue that's related because it's like business administration, but I could see where you could argue the other way on that.
Mhm.
You know, then you get into a good lawsuit over who we favor. Why did you not favor me? You know what I mean?
Clear.
Degree is preferred. Not saying public administration. You still say that.
One of the biggest issues we deal with is SPLOST. That this person is going to needs to have an understanding of. And that whoever we hire needs to have gone through those negotiations and allocations and how that gets done. And it's every 10 years. They may or may not have cycled through it for 5 years. I'm not saying they can't pick it up, but I'm just saying that's a huge thing. And it happens with T-SPLOST, E-SPLOST. Well, that's not so much us, but, you know, LOST, and all those are every 10 years. So, I don't know. How do you feel about that? Well, I guess they don't like
As
it.
long as Steve gonna stay 3 or 4 months to help the person, I think, you know. But yeah, I wouldn't go on to 5 years, because like you said, you gotta know about Splash, you gotta know about a whole lot more than Splash.
You can know about it.
My concern about that wording there is you know, somebody may come from the private sector, banking.
Oh, we had Bill Tomey in this room talking with us, and, and I brought that up. I said, where do you see people coming from? First thing come to me was banking and military.
But bankers wouldn't be, in my opinion, would that qualify? Because banking's not a public sector organization.
I think that's going to shrink your applicants tremendously.
But this is y'all's call now.
What would be a related field, you said public sector, related to public sector? What would be a related field?
I don't know.
Well, local government, okay, well, so what does it say? Local government would be city or county,
Right.
okay? A related field would be getting someone from maybe the regional commission, that's somewhat quasi-government.
State employee, state government,
State government employee.
federal government employee.
Somebody who came in from economic development somewhere that worked heavily with these related fields, those type things. What you need are strong administrative skills that understand the difference between the business world and the government world and how that works to some extent.
I kind of agree, but to me, the strong administrative and management skills, whether it's public sector or private sector, if they've got that, they can learn the government side of things.
There we go.
Yeah, because you got ACCG that
I mean, you got ACCG and you got surrounding administrators that would be more than glad to help mentor this individual. So to me, I would focus more on the responsible administrative and management experience than local government experience. Because local governments no local government does things the same way.
Correct. And cities and counties are two different worlds. But that doesn't mean you couldn't get somebody in the city that would do a great job in the county.
Absolutely.
Well, I said our model would be a person like Steve Sanders that wanted to live in Dooley County, that wants to retire in Dooley County, raise a family in Dooley County, instead of hanging 5 years minimum over somebody's head that's gonna come in here that has that. And this is gonna be nothing but a stopping off point for them to retire. And you right back at the table 2 or 3 years later, having to do the same thing though.
Yeah, I'll give you a perfect example of that, sir. Lee County, Georgia. They can't keep a county administrator more than about 5 years.
Stepping stone.
And that's been the way it's been since I was a city attorney over there. And this is the county now. They go through them and they get the people coming through, and then they'll get one through, then they'll get an experienced one, and they'll get one through and an experienced one. They just keep going back and forth. They've been doing this for 35, 40 years, and they never learn, and no one ever sticks.
Superintendent in the county. But let me ask you this.
Oh, you seen that firsthand?
Yeah, exactly. So we are saying that banking people wouldn't be a good fit for.
No, I think I can see a banking person would be a good fit if they have if they manage.
Right.
Now, the banking side of things, finances.
Yeah.
And if they have supervised employees, managed employees.
So
That's the two. To me, that somebody that can manage folks and knows finances.
Yeah. See that budget, $15 million budget. We talking about. I mean, they deal with big money.
Well, this is big money.
Yeah.
This is big money. This ain't.
That'd be my key.
So you're talking about keep the wording, but when it comes to scratching it in local government.
I'm wondering if we just want to
Take that out right there.
Mhm.
Gone.
take all that out. Say a minimum of X number of years, whatever years y'all want to say, of progressively responsible administrative or management experience. Now, I don't have to say in this.
I know.
I'm just making a suggestion.
But I think that's good though. To me, that's what I think. I think.
I'd rather see 3 years where that time's at, because I think you're gonna shrink I think 5 years is gonna get you the older people on their way out.
Let me ask you
Nothing
this.
but a stopping off point.
How old were you when you started working in the county?
Well, let's see, 25.
Okay. Steve would not qualify because he would have 4 years.
That's what I'm saying.
He would have 4 years to be 22, 3 years. That would
But
make him
now,
qualify.
but when at 25, I didn't come in as county administrator either.
Right.
I came in as, at that time, I came in as deputy county clerk.
Right.
County administrator position didn't exist 39 years
Right.
ago.
So my point is that
I think it works against a young hire, a middle-aged hire, is what I'm trying to say. That necessarily hadn't, it would be a good candidate, but maybe not been in local government.
And then you look at it, see, that's the reason that if we can find somebody and we still got Steve around to sort of guide them along. Yeah, I mean, that would help out the process so much better. And then here's the other thing, if he doesn't, if Steve sort of feel like, well, y'all hire might not have been the best hire. At least we got a little insight on whether we need to open the doors back up again.
All right, so to help Linda out, 5 years or 3 years?
3.
Or do you want to say 3 to 5?
When a minimum, I mean, you gotta put a minimum. The minimum's a minimum, so it's either 3 or 5.
I'm with 3 or 5.
And just because you put a minimum, that don't mean you're gonna hire somebody who's got,
That's just one
it's
thing.
just it keeps you from
Yeah.
eliminating somebody with 3 years of experience.
So Tony, y'all right with 3?
I'm all right with it, but I think if you're gonna leave it at 3, you need to leave that local government in there. I would say 5 and take out that part, but if you're gonna leave it, because we want somebody young, but we don't want nobody, spring chicken. But I can deal with 3.
But again, because we listen to everybody. So, we listen to what you're saying about the local government. We're listening to everybody around the table, but we all got to have to deal with it. What do we put in? So,
Because I wouldn't want a person with 3 years that just came from being a teacher or just started at the bank 3 years ago. But I mean, they probably won't have more than 5 years of experience anyway, the person we're gonna get. But I can see leaving it at 5 and taking out the local government, or leaving it at 3 and putting back in the experience in that related field. But
we need to
Tim
decide.
said 3, we can go with 3. Eugene said 3, we can go with 3.
3.
Yeah.
Okay, you say 3 years in local government. The rest of it is just saying.
No, take out local government.
Take out local government.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was saying if we want to put 3 to leave it in, but if we want to go 3 and leave it out, that's fine.
If you take somebody that's been 3 years through a budget process of a budget this size, they pretty much understand what's in front of them.
You clear on what?
I got that, but I did hear y'all say something about the surrounding area like Dooley County. Did you say
The what now?
you prefer someone that lived in Dooley County?
Oh, we can't put that in there. No,
Right.
No.
We can't put it in there,
No,
but me, yeah.
Yeah, just like-
Well, I told y'all about my time coming there. Yeah, I know we can't put it in there, but yeah, me, yeah.
We can't dictate where they live.
No.
Right.
So you clear?
I'm clear.
All right.
That's what they want.
Move on.
Nothing else y'all want to change?
All right. Mo, you
Everything else.
Because we said, go back to conversation right there again. We just pay compensation.
Compensation.
And
Oh,
we-
right now.
and just we be
Compensation.
commensurate with education, experience, and qualifications. Not saying any dollar figure at this point in time.
That's gonna be the first question they ask.
It is.
Well, it'll be definitely be a question, but most of them are gonna understand that.
We went and put in there, 80,000 and up.
That's up to y'all.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know.
because when we-
Yeah,
that's- I mean, that's
This
the
is
first
kind of
question.
common.
I know, I
Because
know
Linda
what
gonna
you're
ask-
saying. I know
They
what
gonna
you're
ask
saying.
Linda or whoever
Yeah.
in the interview.
Right.
You know, you seen that commercial on TV by you saying, what's the pay? And they keep saying, well, it's compensatory, it's compatible. Nobody wanna hear that. People wanna say, okay, it's 8,000 on up, compensatory experience. But that's fine, you leave that.
The candidate that needs this position is gonna have that question because they're human.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
However, the candidate that you want is gonna be able to figure that out without having to ask,
Yeah. True.
because it's all public, if they know how to look it.
All right, so then, so we're still good at saying the deadline,
30 days, September 1st to September 30th.
so the deadline for resumes will be September 30th.
Applications, the interview, what did we say, October 1st to the 15th?
All right, I think
Once we
we
receive
said, if September 30th is the deadline for resumes to be submitted, then I'm
Going
assuming,
through 'em.
then, like I said, in my opinion, the board needs to see, they all say they want to be involved in the whole process, which I think is a good idea. Linda get the resumes, and then the first process is go through the resumes and put them in two stacks. One that potential candidates and not interested in, just based on paper. And then of the potential candidates, come back and look at them and say, all right, of these, how many do we want to interview in the first round of interviews? Go through that. That sound reasonable to you? Okay.
Okay, let me ask this, where do y'all want this posted besides the Vienna News?
The website, the
The,
GMA.
the joint GMA ACCG website.
Right.
Okay,
So,
And then I would
we got
suggest
paid.
you
Don't
post
worry
the
about it.
notice on the county clerk's bulletin board.
right, okay.
I'll post a notice on the county administrator's bulletin board.
Mhm.
So that way, every county administrator in the state will know about it. Every county clerk in the state will know about it. And then anybody in city and county government that are looking for jobs should know about this joint website between GMA and ACCG for job openings. And then I'd suggest do it Indeed for a week, not the whole 30 days, because it's so expensive.
And you get,
Especially if you got.
and you get so many of them.
Well, see, that's why we're just gonna post
Front
that, just one page to try to keep the cost down.
Mhm.
But that'll get the word out there.
Okay, so do Indeed for a week.
That's all I would suggest doing. Now, if y'all do any others, but it's gonna be expensive advertising this.
It is. Because I cut the ones out for Public Works. Indeed for a week. Okay, if I Anna and Cordell paper, or we don't want to do Cordell paper?
What's that called?
I would do both to get as much circulation as you can.
Yeah, usually that's what we post them by Anna and Cordell. And they only run once a week. So it may be like,
2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's
okay,
all I
2
do.
weeks. Okay, I'm clear.
All right, item number 14, a memorandum of understanding between UGA Cooperative Extension Service and Dooley County. The employees at the Extension Service, I still call them county agents, but they're Extension Service. For years, they are considered employees of the University of Georgia through the Cooperative Extension Service. They get paid, part of their salary comes from the University of Georgia, and then through a memorandum of understanding between the UGA and the county. The county also agrees to provide them office space free of charge, and we pay a salary supplement to them. And we have a small budget for them for some office supplies and stuff like that. Been this way for years. And every so often, the UGA request a new memorandum of understanding be executed. I think mainly because this agreement, I can see there's no changes in the wording. I think more UGAs they realize that over time, the folks around this table, the names change, and they like to get an updated document with the new names, the new faces around the table, to make sure that they'll board somebody, 10 years down the road, say, well, we did sign off on that agreement. They're asking for another. There's no change. We're not obligating the county to anything different. We're just basically agreeing to continue the existing agreement we have with them. We're just redating it and maybe have new signatures on it, because I think the previous one might have been before our two newest commissioners were on board. So I would like to request a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between IGA and then get chairman to sign it.
I'll offer the motion for the memorandum of understanding.
That's it.
There's the motion and second. Do we have any other conversation on it before we vote? If not, all in favor by the show of hands. Okay, that motion carries.
Chairman, let me get your signature before I forget it and I can call you back in. Right there, please. Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, that's all the items I have before the board.
Okay. All right, now you know who time it is now.
Let me ask a question about that meeting right there. The 10th, I mean, that's gonna be at 2 meetings that day, right? We'll have one at,
Yeah, let's get back.
yeah, okay. So it is the same day, the 4th, okay.
Make sure while we're still here. Where is that at?
You need to know whether to bring lunch or not.
Right.
Is that where the public hearing is? Back one.
February 4th at 10 a.m. and then the second public hearing will be at 6 p.m. that night. Y'all will not be required to be here all that time between them.
And we still gonna be at 9 though.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
our board meeting will start at 9. We just had the public hearing at 10 during
Okay.
the regular board meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's it for me, Mr. Chair. I'll make a motion,
But you
we
got-
adjourn. Oh, you got another question?
But you got public hearing September 19th at 9 o'clock. We're having the meeting, but you said it's gonna be at 10?
You
No,
know,
on the same, everything the same. Look, they come in.
On Friday the 19th, we're not.
Oh, I see what she's saying.
yeah, I do too. Yeah, you need to put.
Yeah, we'll change that to
Yeah.
the public hearing at 10 for our
But our
meeting will
meeting
start
is
at
at
9.
9,
Yes,
So we're moving our meeting to Friday
Yeah.
on that one because
of the timing.
the time, because the school
School
board's
board
not gonna
have
finish
meeting
theirs
Thursday.
till that Thursday
Okay,
night.
So move that meeting.
Yes. Yeah, you missed the part. We discussed that in length, but you
Okay.
would not make
That
it
was
here.
being held hostage.
I understand. And I told the board you were head,
Plans.
yeah, playing. That's what we're putting it.
All right, Tony, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we adjourn.
That's second.
There's a motion and second. All in favor, please stand up and left.